Since 1989, Canada's first televised motorcycle magazine has been covering everything on two wheels. We've sampled new motorcycles from around the globe, toured North America from coast to coast, and interviewed some of the most interesting people on two wheels. So get set to keep your right hand cranked as Toyota Truck presents Motorcycle Experience.
Hello and welcome to Motorcycle Experience, the voice of motorcyclists everywhere. I'm Dave Hatch, and this week I'm just north of Brighton, Ontario, where I've decided to pop in on some very good friends of mine. As for our feature this week, we're going to check out a Kawasaki ZX14.
Also this week, we'll bring you another entry from our BMW Motorrad Ultimate Riding Tour Diary, written in Newfoundland. Last week, we rode north on the Baccalieu Trail in search of the Three Hearts: delight, desire, and content. Today, we're on another mission as we're headed towards Conception Bay, following in the flight path of the early transatlantic aviation pioneers. And speaking of ultimate rides, with the score now tied up 2 apiece in our 6-part Ultimate Challenge series, today we'll find out how Brian handles the saddle-less challenge at the Sandaley Motocross track. Plus, later on, Aliki Carrion will file another installment in her Learning Curve series, while our roving reporter Paul Connard heads out in search of another faithful viewer. But first, we start the show with our Ride of the Week, a 2007 Kawasaki ZX14. What's that you say? Did you just say we're going to look at a 2007 model in a year when Kawasaki just launched an all-new ZX14? Well, you heard right, because this week our roving reporter Paul Connard insisted that we show off the motorcycle he currently uses. Why should you care, you ask? Well, because Paul ordered this 2007 model from Kahuna Cycle in Toronto right after road testing the new 2006 model here on the show. Paul tossed off his previous set of wheels, a Hayabusa, and fell helmet over boots in love with the Kawai's fuel-injected 1,352cc inline 4. Bolted to a steel frame, sporting fully adjustable suspension pieces, including a 43mm inverted cartridge fork, and dual semi-floating 310 discs. Now sure, at the time, this big bore Ninja was one of the most powerful street-legal motorcycles on the planet. Bone stock, it could easily crush the quarter mile in under 10 seconds. But Paul loved this motorcycle for another reason. He saw potential. A blank, or in this case, metallic blue canvas, if you will. An opportunity to make this Ninja his personalized street weapon of choice. And that's something he wants you to consider the next time you go shopping for a motorcycle.
Now, Paul, 4 years ago, we invited you out to be on the show to road test a brand new ZX14. And as you wrapped up, you said, man, you know what? I love this bike so much, I'm going to go buy one. And I was like, yeah, sure. But you actually did.
I did, and it's 4 years later, and I've got over 40,000 kilometers on it. And I really enjoy the bike.
Yeah, well, I invited you back to be on the show because this looks a whole lot different and probably works a whole lot different from stock. And I guess the theme of this feature is, you know, if you buy a motorcycle, you're not sort of stuck with what you buy. You can personalize it. So this is a great example of that. So let's just go through the motorcycle and look at some of the things you've done. For instance, what did you do to make the bike fit your body style?
Well, first of all, I raised the bars 1.5 inches, and that you can't even tell that it was done.
Right.
It's as you rode it, it's comfortable.
Yeah.
I lowered the foot pegs 1.5 inches, and I've got a gel seat from the Kawasaki Concourse. It's an aftermarket for the Concourse, but I changed the seat lock and it just snapped right into place. And you can go, 800 to 1,000 kilometers a day on this bike, no problems.
Well, I did take it for a spin earlier today, and I got to say, those 3 changes alone really made the bike more comfortable for me. That's a really nice example right there. And then let's get into the performance of the motorcycle. You know, we have these long, cold winters. What a great time to work on your engine. Clearly, this aftermarket exhaust system is something you've purchased, and it sounds awesome.
Well, I like the 4-in-2 rather than the 4-in-1. It's not quite as loud, and you still get the breathing. And I got the KMC air filter and the Power Commander, and I had it tuned on the dyno. Now these bikes come very, very restricted.
Right.
And when I put those 3 things and had it tuned on the dyno, I actually got better gas mileage on longer trips. Hard to believe.
Right.
I got worse gas mileage on the track because of all that extra power.
Yeah.
But it works very efficiently. It works well.
When you look at the bike, there's some cosmetic things that you've done, and you were bragging the other day, I didn't spend a lot of money doing it. So just show us some of the things, like for instance this. This is not stock.
No, well, you can buy aftermarket bolts for your tank. They're usually about $30 or $40, or you can take them out yourself and paint them with a spray bomb for pennies.
Right.
And that's what I did. I also, you can spend thousands of dollars on wheels, like
Right.
$3,500 a wheel. It's not impossible to spend.
Sure.
Now I spent $150 to polish the wheels, about $200 to paint them, and I painted the rotors as well, just that color. So you can do a lot yourself.
And they look trick. And they match the bike.
They match the bike. They're the stock wheels.
Yeah.
And so there's no safety issues.
There's also some more polished pieces here.
Yeah, well, this is off a Kawasaki Vulcan. It's the same size oil tank, so you just screw that on. This is your heel guard. That's the stock heel guard. I had it polished for $15.
Right.
You've got the bar ends, which were black.
Yeah.
I just had the guy throw it in the chrome tank. That was $25. Lots of little things like that.
So that stuff didn't cost you an arm and a leg. What about these louvers here?
Well, I had those painted. A friend of mine, I guess they were $100 each. He matched the paint.
Yeah.
And he also did the wheels as well.
And what about those
These
protectors?
These are the crash mushrooms. Now I got them from Great Britain. They are expensive, but they're real. A lot of crash mushrooms or frame sliders have a single bolt and are wiped off. This has, on the inside, it has billeted aluminum, 2 bolts. It's very, very strong. It'll protect your fairing, and it'll protect thousands of dollars worth of fairing.
Finally, Paul, tell me about this image on the tail section. I was surprised to discover it's not an airbrush.
No, it's a decal. And if you want to get an image like that airbrushed on your motorcycle, it will cost you thousands of dollars. And I got this decal. It's an electronic image. Any electronic image that you can find or come up with can be made into a decal and put onto your bike.
Right.
It's just limitless. The story behind this decal. The bike is blue. What's blue? The sky is blue. There's clouds in the sky. There's wind. And I thought of the story in 1274, the Mongols invaded Japan. Here's this gentleman praying to the divine wind.
Right.
Now, the divine wind came in the shape of a typhoon and wiped out the Mongol fleet, and the rest were hacked to death when they came to shore.
Right.
And do you know how you say divine wind in Japanese?
I would not know where to begin with that one, no.
It's kamikaze.
Ah, okay.
So it's kind of a double meaning.
Right, very nice. And I know you're very proud of this motorcycle, Mr. Kamikaze Pilot, because Cycle Canada featured it, was it last year?
January 2010, it was a showcase bike.
Not that we're bragging. Hey, listen, great stuff. You've done a wonderful job. It's a beautiful motorcycle.
Well, thanks to you, I bought one.
Yeah, hey, there's a positive.
Great job, Paul. Next, during our tour of Newfoundland, we're awestruck by a harbor's grace. Stay with us. Portions of Motorcycle Experience are brought to you in part by Honda, BMW Motorrad, Closed captioning of this program is provided by Motovan.
Welcome back as Toyota Truck presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch. It's time now for this week's Ultimate Ride. Today, Norm and I are in Harbour Grace, Newfoundland, and this is where our journey really takes off.
During this season's Ultimate Ride, Norm and I spent 4 days touring the southeastern portion of Newfoundland. Last week, we explored Highway 80, known as the Baccalieu Trail, stopping in at Heart's Delight, Heart's Desire, and Heart's Content. This week, we're turning south on Highway 74 with our GPS program to arrive in a town in Conception Bay, Harbor Grace. Apparently, back in 1610, a pirate named Peter Easton made this port the headquarters for his thieving trips at sea. However, upon arrival, we were amazed to discover that someone even more famous made good use of this town for a journey of a different kind.
You know, Norm, this is what I love about the sport of motorcycling. You know, it's been a pretty gray, cloudy day, and if you were on holidays, you might have said, let's just stick to the hotel room and rent some movies or something. But you know what? We got out into the elements, and we've been rewarded with this, man. Here we are in Harbor Grace, and surprise, surprise.
Yeah, came rolling through town, actually looking for lunch, and right beside the harbor, there's this. First of all, we see a boat that's just kind of in the middle of the harbor, but not in the harbor, on land kind of thing. And then we see an airplane. It's like, what the heck's going on here?
Yeah. Believe it or not, this is where Amelia Earhart took off in 1932, about 80 years ago, to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. Who knew? It happened right here on this very airstrip. We had to come here. This is amazing.
Absolutely. Like I said, I didn't even realize that she had taken off from Newfoundland for that flight. So a nice historical enhancement for me today.
Yeah, this has just been a real treat to discover this. This is a national monument. It's hard to believe. There's nothing here, just this bit of rock and that strip of land. Well, somebody's cutting the grass.
Yeah.
Anyway, we had a great ride across the peninsula, and we cut across with 74, and that was really neat too.
Yeah, a short piece of road, but nice and twisty and elevated, and we got quite high at one point because the tree, we were above the tree line, just in the rock. So it was a cool little shot, to come across, and just another road that you find when you're not really looking for anything.
Yeah. So what a great day we've had so far. It's just been point and shoot. Let's see what we can find on the map. I think next we're going to head south and continue around the sort of towards Conception Bay, but I noticed there's a Hawthorne Cottage right there with a little symbol next to it. Maybe we can head for that.
Yeah, definitely. And then ultimately, I think what we're going to shoot for at for late in the day now is going to be Holyrood, down at the bottom, and see what that has to offer as we kind of wind down the day and make our way back to St. John's.
So far, so good. It's been a great ride.
Absolutely.
Man, this is awesome. What a treat.
Man, we had such a great time in Harbor Grace. Yes, we failed to find a bowl of chowder, but the Amelia Earhart runway was a ton of fun to experience. Next week, we ride off to Harbor, Maine. Still ahead, Brian Hudgen jettisons his custom motifed YZ450F dirt bike saddle in an effort to go fast, while Leakey explores the learning curve. Stay with us. Welcome back as Toyota Truck presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch. It's time now for the learning curve. This week, Aliki sits down to chat with the 2011 Pro 600 Sport Bike champ, Jody Christie. This season, Aliki's been exploring the various ways you can get into motorcycling. Recently, she found a very cool way to catch the motorcycling bug by way of the Honda CBR 125 Challenge. The road racing series has been a major slam dunk, as it's turned out to be an extremely safe way for teens to get into road racing. Last year's champion was 14-year-old Stacy Nesbitt. Honda certainly has thrown their support behind the series over the past 4 years, encouraging more established riders like last year's Pro 600 Sport Bike champion Jody Christie to coach trackside the younger 125 riders. Turns out 20-year-old Jody started his racing career at the ripe old age of 15, also on a Honda, and welcomed the opportunity to mentor the younger up-and-comers.
Overall, what are your general views on the CBR 125 racing?
I think it's a great series for the kids to get into. gives them a general feel of the whole racetrack and the racing atmosphere and how it's going to be in the future. And it's really competitive racing for them. So they really show their skills, and it's usually quite a few kids battling and showing their skills together. So it's a really exciting series because they're always passing each other every lap, drafting each other all the time, and they usually go right down to the wire. So you couldn't ask for much better racing and competition. It's always seems to be a fan favorite that everybody wants to come out and watch the CBRs because of how close and how good the racing is. So in that aspect, I think it's really strong and a really good series. And even all the kids, they're really down-to-earth kids, and they're all here to have fun, and they're all friends with each other, congratulating each other, and even seeing them help each other out there. So it's a good group of kids, and it just seems like they're all, one family looking out for each other. And if there's a new guy, they take them under their wing and show them the way around and the roots of racing.
So at the time that you started racing, the CBR 125 Challenge actually didn't exist.
Yep.
And now you're mentoring CBR 125 Challenge racers.
Yep.
Would you suggest that would be a really good entry-level motorcycle racing league to join?
Oh, of course. Honda's worked really hard to get very good platform together. It's prime examples like all of our pro paddock now. They all came up from the CBR 125 class, and it's a very good development standard for all the young riders that are getting up through the ranks. So I think it's a great place to start off and get your feet wet in the sport, and 1, 2, 3 years, whatever it takes you to get comfortable out there, and then move up to a bit bigger bike, like maybe a CBR 125, and then up to the 250. So
definitely. So you've had that opportunity now to mentor the new racers, take them around the track and that sort of thing. Is there one thing that you find that most new racers have a challenge with?
Honestly, I don't seem to see that they have one obvious spot. Every rider's different, so you have to kind of ride behind them and realize their strengths and give them constructive criticism on that, and then also find spots where you think they can improve, and head towards improving with them, and just slowly ease into it. Little steps. You don't want to go out there and go to the pin the whole lap and end up tossing it away in your first experience, because then you probably won't want to come back. So every rider's different. You just gotta work individually with each rider to find their strong and weak points and work from there.
Okay. I spoke with a number of CBR 125 riders today, and I asked them who their mentor was, who do they look up to in the pits, and a lot of them said it was you. What's it like to be a mentor or feel like you can actually contribute to CBR 125 racing?
Honestly, it's a great feeling because, as a young kid, like I said, I grew up at the racetrack, and I grew up watching all these riders now that I'm racing against. So I think it's really neat that these kids think of me as a mentor, because one day I'm no longer going to be their mentor, they're going to be my competition. So, it's just going to be a matter of years, and they're going to be up here fighting for the leads with me, so it's good.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time, Jody.
Thank you.
Good luck out there.
Thanks.
Now it's contest time. You may recall that a couple of years ago, Motorcycle Experience toured the north shore of the St. Lawrence, from Kingston to Quebec City, and visited more than a few forts and historic 1812 battlefield sites along the way. So in honor of the upcoming War of 1812 bicentennial this summer, we've put together a brand new Riders Club contest. The 1812 Riders Club contest, to be exact. All you have to do to enter is visit the motorcycleexperience.ca website and join our email Riders Club, just like these folks did. If you're already a Motorcycle Experience Riders Club member, then just reconfirm your email address. And that's it. You've entered. Next week, on June 3rd, 15 days before the 200th anniversary of the start of the war, we'll pick our winner. This year, we're giving away an exclusive MB Agusta prize pack full of all kinds of goodies, including a limited edition hardcover book and a full-face helmet. Next, Brian Hudgens saddles up for our ultimate challenge, so stay with us. Portions of Motorcycle Experience are brought to you in part by Honda, BMW Motorrad. Welcome back as Toyota Truck presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and this season we've been covering a 6-part challenge designed to put a variety of my friend Brian Hudgens' motorcycle riding skills to the ultimate test. With the score tied 2-2 last week, we set up a challenge at Sandalye Motocross Track, where he had to complete a lap in under 2 minutes and 10 seconds. After watching him warm up, motocross instructor Kevin Tyler advised Brian to keep his feet up in the corners, to get his chin forward over the triple clamps, and to stop sitting down. Then he instructed us to remove Brian's YZ saddle. Now it's time for challenge number 5, redo.
You want to get that one? Yeah. So remember, you got to stand up, attack position, chin over the bar, keep your knee in. Let's do it again and see if you can beat the 210. Woo-hoo! All right, off you go.
This is gonna be worst. Oh, shouldn't sit down.
Nice.
Well,
Nice job, 207, you nailed it.
right on, Kev.
So I guess the saddle seat thing paid off.
You know what? My butt's a little bit more sore now, but it does make a big difference. I never even knew that. But coming into the corner, the last, 10, 15 feet, you really, if you're still standing up, you don't need to sit down that long. It's just that half second, just as you're at the apex, like you said, and away you go.
Well, I hate to say it, but you won the challenge. You're up 3, down 2. So we've got one more still to go.
What is it?
Well, I hope you brought your tennis racket.
Well, with the score now 3-2, we move on next week to the final showdown. And all I can say is, I hope Brian has the tennis balls to pull this one off.
Well, that's it for this week's program, folks. We're all out of time, but we leave you now with our roving reporter, Paul Connert. This week he's up in Bellefontaine, Ontario, where he's found a very nice vintage Cowie and Suzuki. So till next week, keep your feet on the pegs and your right hand cranked. Bye for now.
Dave, I got a father and son team here with 2 incredible bikes. Tony, tell us about these bikes.
Paul, this is a 1979 KZ 650 C3, very popular. They made them from 76 to 1980. Great bike to ride, quick and nimble for the day. And this is my son's bike, Andrew's.
Andrew, what do you think of this bike?
It's been great to just start getting into the whole bike scene. I started a couple of years ago, and this is a little project by me and my father. He's been kind of teaching me the ropes and how to work and the different dynamics of all the bikes, but it's been phenomenal.
Tony, tell us a bit about your bike.
This is an 81 GS 1100E, made popular by Vance and Hines in the day in 1980-81. They were the king at the drag strip. Bought it 3 years ago, been working on it, and absolutely a fantastic bike for the wow factor to put a smile on your face.
So it's lots of fun to ride and lots of power.
Lots of power, lift the wheel anytime you crack the throttle.
Well, we don't do that.
No, we don't do that.
Okay, that's good. Well, thank you very much for you guys bringing these bikes out. It's really great today.
Thank you. Thank you.